Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo, publisher and CEO of SOT. Today we got a cool little review of another Prague book that was sent to us for review. That was actually a really good read and one I highly recommend. It's by Charles Snider. It's called The Strawberry Bricks Guide to Progressive Rock. I believe this is the third edition. Yes, it is. So pretty cool cover, very kind of psychedelic, very proggy, very much laced with like fantasy and sci-fi, themes here, right? Pretty cool artwork. As you can see, it's a pretty thick book, right? So it's roughly about 500 pages of text, and then you got another maybe close to about 70 pages of index and bibliography and all that sort of thing. So what this is not is a kind of intro to what is progressive rock. More so, it is a intro to a lot of the albums that you should be aware of that were released during Prague's heyday, so to speak. So it starts all the way back into the late 60s. I think it's 67 actually, and it goes. So again, we're in the psychedelic era. So it looks at a lot of the major releases that were released and considered as Prague albums from 67 until roughly about 82. It ends right about in the early 80s, and then there's another chapter that kind of touches on some stuff that came out afterwards. But a really good album really good book that's broken. I talk about music so much. Really good album, really good book that's broken up by year. So basically how it works is, again, 1967, and then it's basically just albums that were released in those years. So you got the band, the title of the album, okay, the year was released, the record label, so on and so forth, and then like a paragraph or two that talks about the album. So all the usual suspects are here. Pink Floyd, Procol Harum, you got Yes, The Nice, Family, Soft Machine, Quatermass, Atomic Rooster, Van de Graaff Generator, Renaissance. I'm just kind of flipping through here. The Pink Fairies, Samurai, Osana, Guru, and it covers all the countries. So all the Italian greats are in here, the German bands, the French bands, the British bands, the few American bands. Not a lot touched on like Japan, to my memory. German, definitely, you got Gentle Giant here, Trace, Hawkwind, a lot of the space rock stuff is in here. A lot of the Canterbury Scene albums are in here. So it's just a really good kind of like encyclopedia of the classic progressive rock albums. Okay, more so than a history of the genre, which I think is pretty cool, and it actually works quite well. And this, I think, will be for a lot of people a really good reference if you're someone who is either looking to get into prog and trying to figure out, well, what are some of the albums to start off with, or if you're someone kind of like me who's kind of like a completist and likes to kind of collect a lot of this stuff. Like I went through this book and I was like, ooh, I don't have that. Or, ooh, I never heard of that band. And then reading the little, blurb on it, saying, that sounds like something I'd be into. Maybe I should investigate looking for that. So getting a lot of those cool little nuggets, I think, is what makes this a really, really good read. There was this band called Web. I never heard of Web. And I'm like reading the description of them. I'm like, ooh, that sounds like something I would really like from, of course, a time period that I absolutely love. So if you're a lover of 70s prog, Beggar's Opera, Wild Turkey, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Curved Air, Gentle Giants, David Allen, Peter Hamill, The Move, ELP, Jade Warrior, Cressida, Spring, Caravan, Nucleus, Tangerine Dream, Jethro Tull. They're all in here, guys. Genesis, Birth Control, Rare Bird, The Pretty Things, Barclay James Harvest, Exception, Fairport Convention, even the folk bands are in here. Pentangle, Steel Eye Span, all this, it's all in here. All right, 500 pages of some of the must seek out prog rock albums released in the history of this genre. So if you're interested at all, go to www.strawberrybricks.com, STRAWBERRY bricks.com. I'll put the link in the description of the video so you can check that out. I would highly recommend getting this if you're a kind of either looking to get into prog or you're more of like a historian who just wants to consume everything having to do with progressive rock. This is a very good read. I enjoyed this quite a bit. So visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you guys real soon. Got some Frank Marino ranking the albums coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Take care. Bye-bye.